So you're struggling with postnasal drip, convinced it's just allergies, until one day you're choking on your food that you actually chewed. So you get a camera down your throat and you're told you have a precancerous lesion called Barrett's esophagus. Flabbergasted that you've never had heartburn and you have now this crazy diagnosis. Your GI doc prescribes a acid blocking medication and a low acid diet. You are just as confused as some of my patients. You are not alone. Silent reflux is common before a diagnosis of Barrett's esophagus. The reality is, while Barrett's esophagus is a potential precancerous lesion, only about 5% become the cancer over a lifetime. And new data projections show that the throat cancer called esophageal adenocarcinoma, primarily caused from reflux and related conditions, is on the rise, and death from this diagnosis is also increasing. So it is something we need to be mindful of. There is definitely a problem with mental health here. It's easy to feel paralyzed. You hear your doctor's warnings, but you say, hey, they have to give you the worst case scenario. And I want you guys to remember that community is medicine. Healing isn't just biological, it's also emotional. So please reach out to your friends and family. Stress shuts down digestion, and community helps to open it back up. Something that is important is when you get an endoscopy or that camera down your throat is your doctor will take some biopsies of your tissue, some samples, and will determine the stage of your Barrett's esophagus. There are 4 stages, okay? There is non-dysplastic, which means normal cells just in the wrong place. This is definitely the most common. Then there's indeterminate, where the lab is not quite sure exactly what's going on. And then low-grade dysplasia, where abnormal cancerous cells are present, but it's still early. And then high grade is where more advanced changes are. You're trending towards that throat cancer bit, and we require much closer monitoring to make sure we don't miss something. Remember that this is less common, but it does happen. And because esophageal adenocarcinoma is on the rise, doctors are being very mindful about this grading of the tissue. And then there's the metabolic connection. So insulin resistance is a huge component of Barrett's esophagus that's kind of coming to the forefront in more recent data. And because it drives inflammation that can contribute to worsening outcomes with Barrett's esophagus. My pre-diabetes test is called fasting insulin. I highly encourage folks to get this run, along with your hemoglobin A1C and a glucose, which are your kind of standard blood sugar labs your regular doctors will look at. The sleep and stress, our management piece is important. Bad sleep makes you crave simple carbs, causing higher blood sugar spikes the next day. One solution is having exercise snacks. You guys have heard me talk about this before. Walking 10 minutes after dinner, calf raises while you're waiting for your coffee to cook, calf raises sitting and standing. The other piece is you need to have a protein-rich and fiber-rich diet. Protein and fiber are also critical for regulating blood sugar. You need about 20 to 25 grams of protein at breakfast and veggies with every single meal. That is non-negotiable because you need the fiber. Berberine, it is touted as nature's Ozempic. This is false. It can be helpful in therapeutic doses, usually around 2,000 milligrams a day. That's not just one capsule, which is what most people will take. I infrequently use this in my practice. I find there are other things that are more beneficial than berberine, but there you go for those of you that think it's so fancy and powerful. And then hiatal hernias. Hiatal, hiatal hernias. Up to 80% of Barrett's esophagus diagnoses have a hiatal hernia where the stomach slides up into the diaphragm, and data does support this. If surgery is not an option or you opt out of surgery, you need to be sure to find a visceral manipulation practitioner. PTs, chiropractors, naturopathic doctors, we all can be trained in it. It just depends, and it will help you pull your stomach back down. You also can do some self-adjustments and strengthening of your diaphragm using diaphragmatic breathing and heel drops as well. Please do check out my YouTube, as I have several videos on the self-adjustment and heel drops. So from a natural healing or holistic healing perspective, what can we do? First, we're going to touch on the fact that conventional medicine suggests cutting and burning, aka ablation of the tissue. We focus a little bit more in my realm on soothing and repairing. You guys have heard me talk about demulcent herbs before. These are my gooey goodness mucilage herbs that protect and coat a liquid bandage, if you will. I like to mix a blend of marshmallow root, slippery elm, rosehip, and licorice. Some people prefer the DGL, and I mix about a tablespoon of this into a couple ounces of inner leaf aloe juice. Either the Lakewood Organic brand or preservative-free Lily of the Valley brands are my two favorite. And notice it's juice, not gel. And then we have alginates. These are products like Reflux Raft. There's a few of them on the market. Gourmet Reflux as well. These create a physical seal using algae at the top of the stomach. Be mindful here, if you have any issues with sulfur, it might not be the best option. Next, we use some antioxidants, and these are critical for Barrett's esophagus reversing. And there's a couple that I use. Zinc Carnosine is a gold standard and actually used in Japan to reverse ulcers. I am mindful though, because zinc can cause nausea, so I introduce it slowly and mindfully. The other one that's a big one I love to use is vitamin C, and we want low acid sources in food, guava, papaya, kale, rather than things like oranges and strawberries. The other component of vitamin C is a buffered vitamin C supplement. Works decently well, and that's something I've used in my practice. But data does show that getting vitamin C from food sources is more effective at helping reduce Barrett's esophagus negative outcomes. So again, we're going back to food as medicine, people. And then digestive support. These are your kind of goodies, your digestive enzymes, things that have ox bile and stomach acid. But this is so important that you are mindful, because if you have inflammation that shows up on your EGD, like esophagitis, putting these enzymes in can make you feel like you are rubbing salt into a wound, and it is not fun. And then apple cider vinegar. I personally see more harm than good with apple cider vinegar with patients dealing with reflux or Barrett's. And for me personally, this was the natural option that just about ended me. I struggled in a flare for almost a month from one shot of this good for you, good for your digestion remedy, and it was just not. And I hear this time and time again. So please be mindful of that. And if you have inflammation, demulcents. Okay. Healing happens in parasympathetic, which just happens to be the rest and digest portion of our nervous system. You got to turn off the stress, the stressful news, the social media. I don't care if you read headlines, you're done with it. Stop, unfollow people, stop the doom scrolling, pick up a book, watch some wholesome content. I'm talking, some underdog stories, something funny with Adam Sandler or Eddie Movie or your comedian of choice. Laughter relaxes the nervous system and allows your body to flow more properly when you're in a parasympathetic. And then sleep, aim for about 7.5 to 8 hours. You heal when you're sleeping. So it's really important that we get good quality sleep.